Here are 15 of the best Ask Reddit stories for today. I hope you enjoy and remember to subscribe. It really helps us out. We post new videos every day.
Therapist that have cried in a session. Why? I cried when I had to say goodbye to a client of mine who was dying in hospital. We had worked through some pretty challenging things together and he had a huge impact on me, and I felt it was important for him to see that in my tears and words as I said goodbye. My patient cried and said, "There's nobody on this planet who loves me anymore." I cried when I left because I knew she was right. For context, she was 95, her husband and son had died. She had a personality disorder that made her behavior unbearable for her environment after her husband died, and every person still in her life were paid for to be around her. She died a few months after this conversation. Had a sweet little boy tell me about the death of his dad, who was his little league coach, tragically died the week of the big championship game. He went ahead and played the game the day before the funeral. He hit a home run and shared tearfully how the next day, he put the baseball in his dad's coffin at the funeral. With his team all standing around him in support. Hell, now I'm crying again.
Adults of Reddit, what is something that every teenager should know? High school teacher here. Romantic relationships aren't as important as everyone makes them seem. Focus on building strong friendships with the people already around you. You'll remember those more fondly than any fleeting relationship. That the troubles you are facing in high school will pass and seem trivial. There's a whole ass life out there once you graduate, and there is a drastic difference between reality versus how you think it's going to be. That they should enjoy the time they have and not rush to become an adult.
How did your affair start? My husband's affair started shortly after we got married. We lived in an apartment complex and all the mailboxes were in the lobby area. I checked the mail while he was at work like I always did. I opened a card, not paying attention to who it was addressed to, but the front of the card read, "I miss you in the morning, I miss you in the evening," and the inside of the card read, "But I especially miss you at night." And there was a drawing of a woman in bed wearing a negligee, and it was signed, "I miss you and love you," with the woman's name. So I looked at the envelope and it was addressed to my husband. We had only been married 3 months, so I immediately gathered all of his items and threw them into the hallway. He came home and tried to come into the door, but I had the chain lock on it. He was like, "What the hell is going on?" I said, "Your girlfriend misses you, so we're over and you can go stay with her," and I opened the door wide enough to throw the card and envelope into the hall. About 15 minutes later, there was a knock at my door. It's my next door neighbor. I had seen him around but we hadn't made formal introductions yet. I opened the door and my husband was standing down the hallway. The neighbor says, "Hi, you accidentally got my mail today." My neighbor had the exact same first and last name as my husband. He said, "My wife has been out of town on a business trip. She sent the card to me." I said, "Bull crap," and shut the door on him. 5 minutes later, there's another knock at my door. I look to see my next door neighbor again, but this time he's holding up his driver's license and the card envelope. His license shows he has the exact name as my husband, and the card envelope has their apartment number on it. At the time, it was pretty traumatic, but now, 31 years later, my husband thinks it's absolutely hilarious. I'm going to ghost him after this lovely weekend together. I met a lovely man a few months ago. He is a gentleman, very caring, we have fun together, and I have developed strong feelings for him. We agreed to be exclusive a few days ago, as I expressed my lack of interest in seeing anyone else. We are both traveling for the next few weeks and will likely only see each other at the beginning of February, which we have known since the first date. Last night, he told me that he didn't want to be exclusive in case he had moments of weakness during his time away, and that it would be best if we were to hold off and start a committed relationship in February. I informed him that I wouldn't be interested in that because he clearly wants to go out and experience what life has to offer, and I didn't want to tie him down. He seemed visibly upset, and insisted that I reconsider. To me, this is a case of right person, wrong time. We are going to my friend's birthday party tonight. I'm sure we will have a great time together. I will hold him a little tighter and kiss him a little deeper because after he leaves tomorrow, I will ghost him. I am grateful for this experience and maybe we'll find each other again when the time is right. Edit. I have already told him several times that I wasn't interested in seeing him after this weekend. He continues to make plans for the future, my birthday, etc. He said, "The only way you'll get me out of your life is if you cut me out completely, which is what I am going to do. Please stop DMing me threats over this." I just realized what he does every morning. My partner has to wake up around 4 a.m. in the morning for work. He has 2 alarms. One is at 4:30, the other is 4:35. I questioned why he had them so close together, and he said, "It just helps me." This morning I pieced together what he's been doing every morning since he started this job 2 months ago. The first alarm is solely his warning signal, and he uses it to get 5 minutes of hugging me every morning. Every morning. This poor guy is tired AF every day, but he makes sure that every morning before work he cuddles me for at least 5 minutes. Some days I don't get woken up by him, and it's sweet to think that no matter what he makes the time to be affectionate to me before he leaves. I adore him. My boyfriend is going to cry and I don't feel bad about it. In fact, I'm excited. I have been with my boyfriend for a little over 3 years now. I don't even think there are words to describe how I feel about him. My life changed in an unimaginable way when he entered it. There is no one on the planet that could ever make me feel the love I feel when I look at him. I never thought I would find someone who treats me this way, or that I even deserved a partner like him. He never fails to remind me that he thinks about, loves, and adores me. The other day he made a passing comment that any experience he has ever had is always so much better if my presence is there. So, my boyfriend is a huge fan of Legos. Like massive, he always buys smaller sets from Target and builds them in his free time to relax. Anytime we go to the mall, he always wants to walk around the Lego store just to marvel at the big sets. He can afford them, but he's the type not to spend money on himself. Every time we go in, I always catch him staring at the Star Wars Cantina set. He always talks about how one day, maybe he'll muster up the courage to put the $400 down and fulfill his dream. But he won't have to do that. I just ordered it off the Legos website. Because I spent more than $150, I get a small Santa set. So what my plan is, I'm just going to gift him the Santa set, and when we are alone, I'm going to surprise him with the Cantina. He has done so much for me this year, and I can't imagine not giving this to him. So yeah, he's going to cry, but I'm excited about it. Thanks for listening.
How can you train yourself to go to sleep quickly like they do in the military? I served in the military very early on in my life and we were taught a simple technique that I use to this very day. I can sleep anywhere and at any time of the day or night, regardless of noise or light. It involves no medication whatsoever, but it does take practice. Lie down or sit back and close your eyes. Now inhale as deeply as you can and count as you're inhaling the air. Most people can get up to 5 seconds, I'm up to 8. Hold the air in your lungs while you count to 5. Now exhale and count again as you're exhaling. The counting relaxes your mind and takes your thought process away from the stress at hand. The breathing slows down your heart rate, and calmness spreads throughout your body. When I started using this process daily, I didn't fall asleep until well after 10 repetitions, but now, I'm out in 3 repetitions. It's really strange how it works because all of a sudden it's morning, and I can't remember how I fell asleep.
19M cried in front of a stranger. 19F, I got her number. Do I call her? I was crying at 1 a.m. outside a club. She was the same age as me and lives in the same area. I never cry, so it was so weird for me. She asked me what was wrong. Sat next to me. I simply just hugged her as tears flooded everywhere. I then opened up to her. Cried. My drunk self even blurted out "fuck you're so pretty" embarrassingly because she was so nice and made me feel so safe. Anyways, we talked. She even told me a little bit about her troubles, so it felt less one-sided. After 45 minutes of talking, I offered to walk her home, and yeah, walked her home. Nothing romantic, I cried a bit more. I couldn't help it. Thanked her, she offered to give me her number in case I ever needed to message her. I got her number. And I don't know if I should message her or not. Because I was so vulnerable, yet we shared, sort of a special moment together. I don't know what to do. Update, I sent her a thank you text, waiting for response, hopefully I get one. What's the creepiest thing that you've seen other families do that they accept as totally normal? I went to this guy's house once after school. I wasn't friends with him, but we were assigned to a project together. We'll call him Gary. Anyways, we were working on this project when he excused himself to use the restroom. 15 minutes later he returned. A little while later, I decided to use the restroom while he was making snacks. I walked into the bathroom and behold, before my eyes, floating like a manatee through the brown estuaries of Florida, was the result of Gary's earlier bathroom excursion. I shrugged it off. I mean, we all forget at least once, right? Flushed for him, took a leak, flushed again, and went to work on the project. Gary's mom gets home from work a couple hours later. She nods to us and says hello politely before heading towards the back of the house. A few seconds later she returns to the kitchen where we were working and screams, "Where is it?" I jump and I'm confused, so I shoot a "what the hell" look to Gary. Gary muttered it wasn't me. His mom glared at me, huffed, and walked out. Gary later explained that every day after school he would take a dump and was required to leave it in the toilet so his mom could check it. He wasn't even sick or anything, she just wanted to check it to make sure he was healthy or something. I never went back to Gary's house. Men, what's something hard about being a man that you wish women understood? The way we are treated by society is not necessarily better or worse than how women are treated, just different. But since it is so different, we have a hard time understanding each other's problems. Example, men gets way less attention than women from the opposite sex. Women thinks that this must be awesome, no stalking, harassment, catcalling etc. Men thinks that the attention women gets would be awesome, getting hit on at the bar, getting compliments etc. Truth is, it suck for both genders. It's easier to get a high-paying job as a man. Sound awesome, right? But it also becomes the expectation. It is not possible for half of the population to have an above-average income. And life is not as great for the less successful men. Men tends to think that this makes it easier to be a woman, which may be true in some instances. But it also makes it harder for women to be respected for their accomplishments.
My 15-year-old son is perverted. I don't know where it all went wrong. I thought I did a good job at raising my boy. But I started noticing a change in his behavior towards me and the way he was looking at me. I felt so uncomfortable. Like when you know a guy is staring at you and your body is how I felt. Then I caught him looking at my bum and breasts. I felt betrayed and disturbed that my own son was checking me out. His own mother didn't say anything. He would start to pretend to accidentally touch my bum and breasts by fake falling or other things. I knew he was doing it on purpose, but I didn't say or do anything cause I was in denial. I was hoping it was a phase or something. So one night I was getting ready for bed. I put on what I usually put on for bed, my tank top and underwear. I lay down and fell asleep. A few hours later, I woke up to my son touching my butt and taking pictures of my butt. I confronted him right away about it. I took his phone and went through it. What I saw broke my heart. He did this more than once to me. He had about 100. He would take about 10 to 20 photos each time he did it, and I was in my underwear in all of them. I can't imagine what he did with the photos. I deleted all the photos and gave him the consent talk and how incest is wrong. Pretty much it, but I feel like that wasn't enough. I don't know what else to do about the situation. The father is not involved. He's useless.
What are real disadvantages of being ugly? Being ugly costs you human warmth. You get treated like shit by basically everyone that isn't your mother, and God help you if you have an abusive mom. Feeling like no matter how much you have to offer, you're never going to be loved. Accepting yourself is hard and loving yourself becomes harder. Accepting the fact that you might never find love and being okay with it. Seeing other beautiful people living the life that you only wish you could. It's apparently reflected in so many facets of life. Job opportunities, length of sentences in court, then you have the obvious stuff like attention, warmth, love, etc. When someone asks you out, you can't be sure if they are being sincere or if they lost a bet.
People of Reddit, instead of missed hints, what hints did you catch that got you laid? 3 weeks ago I went on my very first camping trip. I'm a huge city boy / yuppie or whatever, and I'm not outdoorsy at all, but I wanted to say I've gone camping before. For this reason I had zero camping equipment. One girl in our group, she also happens to be the maid of honor for an upcoming wedding in which I am the best man, brought extra camping gear for me. What a sweetheart. Anyways, fast forward to our first night and I had my very own 2-person tent to myself. It was awesome. Around 1 a.m. she knocks on the tent entrance and tells me to scoot over. She can't sleep because everyone in her tent, 8-person tent, was snoring too loud. That's fine. I'm super grateful for her because otherwise I would be sleeping on the grass and getting bit by bugs. She slides in. I notice she's not wearing any shorts or sweatpants, only an oversized shirt from our alma mater. This was odd to me initially as it was really chilly. But whatever, maybe this is how she sleeps normally. We talk for a little bit. She asks me how work is going and if I like camping so far. I told her it was pretty cool. It's nice to get away from the city sometimes. She then straight up tells me she's never had sex in a tent before. We had sex in a tent.
Tifu by showing the Amazon driver my tits. Last day of my holiday vacation from work, and my husband and I had taken our dogs hiking. My husband ran to the convenience store after dropping me and the dogs home. I went to start a load of laundry to make sure it was all done before going back to work. Around the corner from our washer and dryer is a side entrance to our house, which my husband and I use, but normally deliveries come to the front door. This side door has a big window on the top half and it has blinds, but they were up this afternoon. I was wearing my favorite winter long sleeve yoga shirt and sports bra combo for the hike that I knew I'd want to wear again, like, probably tomorrow after work, so I took it off and tossed it in with the laundry load because I was going straight to the bedroom to put on jammies after starting the load. I heard a car drive up that sounded just like ours and footsteps. The dogs were more tired than usual from hiking today, I guess because they weren't barking as if a stranger were approaching. I had something mundane to tell my husband that I didn't want to forget, so immediately popped around the corner toward the door to tell him and was about to open that door for him, when I locked eyes for a terrifying second with the Amazon guy carrying a box to the door. I popped back around the corner out of sight lightning fast and stood there frozen in horror for a long terrible minute. At that point, I thought it would have been better to wrap one of the towels that were folded on top of the dryer around my top half and yell something funny at him to try to dispel a little of the awkwardness. But by the time the shock wore off, he was down the road. It was our regular delivery guy, and I'll be hiding from him for the rest of my life. If you're reading this, Amazon guy, I'm either sorry or you're welcome. Happy New Year.
I fell for the McDonald's girl. I'm a medical student and I go to the same McDonald's often because I'm so busy I hardly have time to cook. But anyhow, I would often go there and see the same girl, a bit younger than me. I'm 28, she's 23. We always would talk, and over the course of 2 months I got to know a lot about her, her mom, what she wants to do after McDonald's, etc. She's beautiful and sweet, and I felt a very obvious, very strong mutual attraction. But I never tried to flirt with her because in my country there's a stigma for people in rich jobs or higher education to be flirting with people in working class positions. I'm sure you all can guess which one. Basically, if you're richer and flirt with a poorer person, people here assume you're trying to take advantage of them or just use them for love or control them with your money as opposed to truly caring about them, so I avoided it. But then today she very timidly came up to me at my table while I was eating, and asked if she could eat her lunch with me, and then during the lunch, she asked me out on a date. She has no idea I'm a medical student or anything, As far as she knows, I'm just a regular guy because I don't wear fancy clothes or my school clothes to the place usually. I dated women for 2 years before and never felt as strongly as I do for this woman. Whenever I told her yes, I'd love to go on the date, I know for sure my face was red as a tomato. I'm just hoping our attraction is on the same level. I'd be really embarrassed if I fell way harder, but I think that's okay too. My girlfriend was acting like a smartass, so I made her cry and apologize to me and said she learned this shit from TikTok. The next day she woke up and started texting me paragraphs about how bad of a boyfriend I am, and I ignored it again. We didn't talk for that whole day because she knows what I'm gonna answer her with. At that time I was planning to text her the next day sweet stuff like I love you a lot, then the next day ignore her again like she was doing. But she decided to grow up a little bit and text me and apologize. I was in the middle of work at that time, but she said she is really sorry and wants to talk about what she did and fix it, so I left for an early break to talk to her on the phone. She explained why she was doing all this. She said saw multiple videos on TikTok saying stuff like, do you want him to love you more? Text him sweet things one day and next day ignore him, or when he says why did you ignore, tell him did I ignore you? Or was your message not worth replying to? And shit like that, and girls in the comments saying haha my boyfriend loved me more after this. I laughed at her so hard people around me thought I'm crazy. I explained to her how much of an idiot she is for thinking this would ever work in any relationship, and she apologized again. I accepted her apology because it's really nothing big, just wanted her to know what she is doing. I asked her why would she do this anyways? I asked her if she feels that I'm ignoring her or not giving her enough attention or stuff like that, and she said no, just wanted to feel some drama in the relationship. I told her how I was planning to text her a lot next day then ignore her the day after, and she said she kept crying the whole night last night when I used her drama against her. I asked her if she wants more drama, and she said no. So I guess she learned her lesson. Also, to the people who post videos encouraging people to ignore their partners and shit like that, from the bottom of my heart, F you.